if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I'm an exercise and sports science degree holder. I'm a personal trainer and coach of over 10 years, and I've been training in gyms for over 20 years. And today I'm going to go through my back or my pull workout. So some things that I've done recently with my pull workout is I've kind of tidied up my exercise selection a little bit. I found that I was doing too many exercises where I was focusing on coming from too many different angles, and what that the downside of that, should I say, is that essentially you're spending time changing exercise, warming up, practicing the new exercise, but whereas what we know to be something that drives muscle growth is volume, or how many hard sets you do. So instead of moving on from exercise to exercise, and do a couple extra sets of particular exercises to kind of save myself some time, give myself some ability to add some extra volume. All right, let's go through it. The specifics of today are as followed. So recently got back from a vacation, and some gyms that I went to whilst away, they don't always have heaps of equipment. But what I did get from that is that I tried a single arm dumbbell row. Now, with all the fancy machines out there, a standard single arm dumbbell row is going to be my first exercise. So very effective. I'm going to try and make it as lat dominant as possible. And I've got a couple little exercise technique things I do, which are quite unique, which I'll go through when we get there. So single arm dumbbell row first as a horizontal kind of lat movement. Then we're going a neutral grip pull down. So if the row's for the upper portion of the lats, potentially the pull down is going to be for the lower portion of the lats. We're going to use one of those fandangle mag grips. Then we're going to go a T-bar row out of a landmine. So was tossing up whether to do a bent over row or a row out of the landmine, and I'll go through the specifics of why I chose that when we get there as well. Then followed up after that, we've just got a neutral grip chest supported row, a pin loaded variation there's here, that's pretty good. We have added back into this routine a lying dumbbell curl. Really, really good. Gets a large stretch on the bicep and also makes it difficult in that stretched position. And then we're going to finish with a single arm rear delt pull across. Haven't exactly decided what height that's going to come from, but I'll figure out that when we get there. So that's going to be the workout for today. Today marks week 1, workout 3 of my next fat loss phase. So the goal of this phase is to kind of open up a long period of time that I can gain muscle without putting on too much fat. So we're going to try and drop maybe 4 or 5 more kgs and then slowly turn that around to gain muscle and gain weight over the course of 8 to 12 months or something like that. But yeah, we want to give ourselves some room so we don't get as fat. So that's where our approach is at the moment. Feeling good, got up early, get my steps in, and then now since coming back from vacation, controlling for food and tracking macros and calories and stuff like that again. And yeah, we just keep going. We keep following this until something doesn't work, and then we change it up. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's head to exercise 1, single arm dumbbell row. Let's get it. All right, first up we have the single arm dumbbell row. So that's going to involve a bench and a dumbbell, obviously. We're going to have one hand on the bench, one knee on, and we're going to row. So the reason that I've decided to do the single arm dumbbell row is because it felt really effective when I was doing it on holidays or vacation. So yeah, sometimes you don't need all the flashy equipment. Now, theoretically, something like a free weight rowing movement might be not optimal, quote unquote, because of your strength. Essentially what happens when you are doing pulling movements is that you're quite strong in the stretched position, and then you get really weak. So it really becomes quite hard to finish the movement. So when we have different kind of plate loaded variations, or some machines these days, you can make it harder or easier where you want it. The free weight doesn't do that. It's gravity always going straight down. And that is a potential theoretical downside. However, doing it while on vacation, I found it really effective, so I'm going to keep doing it. So I've got my straps here, and again, this is just to avoid any kind of focus or thought that has to go into my grip, so I can really focus on the muscles that we want working. So we go one arm on, one hand, one knee on, get the leg out of the way, almost like a tripod, let it all stretch out, pull, stretch. So what we're going to do to kind of counteract the resistance issue that I just mentioned, or our strength issue, is towards the end of the set, we're going to do some lengthened partials. So we're going to bring it up and in towards us as much as possible for as long as possible, try to touch our body. When we can no longer get it to touch our body, we'll then do some half reps or pull it as far as we can for, you know, reps after that to get us nice and close to failure. Some other people might use cheating technique or like momentum, which makes sense on a muscle group like this and a movement like this. For me, I'm just going to go half reps so I can keep them as consistent as possible. Yep, and then this would be my Coach Dan tip for these. Get some straps so you don't have to focus on your grip or your hands, because we don't want to think about our grip. We want it to fall out of our hands and we're really trying to grip on. We want to focus on the muscle as we do it. All right, let's get our weight and get going. All right, dumbbell rows done. Next up, we are going a pull down variation. We're going to use the mag grip. Now the mag is just this kind of dingle grip, and the idea is that it's supposed to put your wrist and hand in a position that's less fatiguing on your wrist so you can focus on what you want. This would be fine with straps, with those narrow grips or medium grips. I suppose what we want to focus on when training the lats with a pull down is keeping the arm somewhat close to the body. So whatever grip you take, we're probably not in a great position. Well, it's probably not as biased towards the lat if we take these positions where our arms come away from our body and allow our shoulders to move. So if you think about a pull down like this, the elbows start to come away from the body, the whole shoulder starts to rotate. That means upper back can get involved, like your traps and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that if you just want it to be generally an overall back movement, but I want to make it as lat dominant as possible because our upcoming exercises are going to be for our upper back. So in short, if we want to train the lats, we're usually best suited to the arms somewhat close to the body. As we go away, it's not that the lats don't work, it just starts to incorporate some of your upper back. So we're going this neutral grip mag pull down. We come up, we grab it, we lock in, knees get tucked under, nice big stretch at the top, pull down. So a pro tip for this one is, again, you're not just thinking about pulling this weights down, you're thinking about pulling this part of your arm down such that we focus on using the lat. So with that in mind, we then got to line ourselves up with the part of the lat that we want to train. So if I want to do it to lower lat, I'll kind of lean into a position that it's lower lat. So we could even lean back, make it a bit more higher, but essentially we want to make it as lower lat dominant as possible because the row was more about the upper portion of the lat. All right, I haven't done pull downs at this gym before, so I might take a couple of sets to find my weight and then we'll be on. All right, lat biased work done. Now we move into the upper back. Now I haven't always really felt my back during training, and what really helped with me was just a basic understanding of some of the anatomy of the muscles in your back. So you think, all right, if I know that the lat kind of attaches into the front of my arm here, kind of wraps in under my rib cage, part of it heads in towards the thoracic spine and some of it heads down towards your pelvis or like iliac area, you know that then the lat's job is to kind of pull this towards those. So if I go, okay, and then I'm going to choose some muscles or choose some exercises, I want to be kind of doing those different jobs. And then whilst doing the exercises, you can then go, okay, what do I want to focus on? Pulling this point to that point or this point to that point. And just that sort of basic understanding of anatomy. You don't need to remember exactly what these things are called or anything like that. And you just kind of know, okay, pulling that point to that point, focus on that while training. I can pretty much ignore my lower arm then and just focus on pulling my upper arm into those points to target those muscles. Yeah, and that would go for all different muscles. So you think about, okay, my pec training. All right, I know that what I'm trying to train is the upper pec, so I know I want to pull my arm from a similar point towards the inner third of my clavicle. So when I train upper pec, I want to sort of organize my movement or my technique such that it's going like that. So choose the incline of the bench or the machine such that your arm's going in that direction. Anyway, now we move on to our upper back exercise. So I'm going to do this T-bar row with the landmine. Now I like this landmine variation because essentially the fact that it's in this landmine means as you pull the movement, it actually gets easier as the load gets closer to the hinge point. So bent over row would have been another option to do in this kind of situation to target the upper back. But again, I like that change in resistance. It gets easier as you go, which is good for the muscles through the back. Something that I'm still yet to figure out is kind of range of motion, position, all that kind of stuff, because I really haven't done this in a long time. But anyway, basically, we've got this handle on here. We'll strap in, we'll set our position, get that tension, and row. So same idea with all things. We kind of know the path of this is pretty set. So we just have to move ourselves to kind of align with that path. You're not going to force it to go away from its path. So you have to kind of line up with it for what you want to train. So if I want to go more upper back and my arm to come high, I'll take myself further this way. If I want it to be, well, the upper part of my upper back, should I say. If I want it to be more of the lower part of my upper back, I can come this way and row nice and low. For me, I'm going upper back. So I'm going to be somewhat away, arms coming away from the body. Second exercise after this for the upper back, we've got a neutral grip. All right, let's find our weight. Don't know what that's going to be, so let's check it out. All right, our Landmine T-Bar Row done. A quick little summary on that. I think a downside to T-Bar rows, bent over rows, etc. And this might make me sound like a little bit of a wussy, but it's just holding the weight there and being in that position. So you just have to hold that tension throughout your body while we just try and focus on the upper back. And that's why I haven't done it in my programming in a long period of time. I just thought it wouldn't be very recoverable. So that is a downside, but it might be worthwhile. Maybe what that means for me going forward is then we keep it more of a moderate rep range, so we're not doing too heavy a set and having to hold heavy weight there for low rep range. We do something more moderate. Felt pretty good, felt pretty effective, but yeah, that's just a consideration to keep in mind. And then with that in mind, then programming becomes somewhat a factor then. Yeah, I'm not deadlifting yesterday and coming to this. Even yesterday in my programming, it's like a back squat, but putting a bar on your back, that can be quite tiring. I've got some hamstring stuff, some glute stuff. Holding that position can be a factor. So maybe that sounds a bit wussy and it might not be an issue at all, but it's just a consideration to keep in mind. If you're really fatigued, you have to hold that position. That might be tough. And that's why I've kind of leaned more towards chest supported rows like this. So we're going to go chest supported row, This is still more, focused towards the upper back. So whereas that one had an overhand position, this one's now got a neutral grip, and we're going to lean forward into the row such that we potentially focus on a little bit of different part of the back. So we'll grab the neutral grip, lean over, grab it, sit back with it. I'm kind of got my butt back on the chair, so I am leaning slightly forward. Drive the shoulders back, squeeze, stretch, drive back and squeeze. So yeah, the chest support's good for upper back movements because it allows you to kind of roll over the pad, stretch out the upper back, and then we can focus on squeezing those muscles at the back. All right, I haven't done this one in a little while, so I have to check in with my weight, and then we go from there. All right, next up we have the decline lying dumbbell curl. Now, this is not, theoretically it makes sense to do this exercise, which is that we're getting ourselves lying down, we're going to do a curl. So we put the arm or the bicep in a stretched position. Because the bicep is a muscle that passes the elbow and the shoulder, a straight arm, this is a stretched bicep, but this is potentially more stretched. So we're going to lie down, let our arm kind of sink down into that position. That's number one. Number two is that we are also going to make it go up against gravity sooner. So if you think about a dumbbell curl where I'm upright, it doesn't start getting difficult until I kind of get to almost 90 degrees at the elbow. We've got incline variations, but same, it doesn't get hard until we start going up. Here, we lie down, we get the big stretch, and we make it get harder sooner. So we get that, stretch, and we go up against gravity sooner. So it looks something like this. So I'll grab a couple of dumbbells, sit them on my lap, lie back with them, stretch the bicep, curl, stretch, curl. Very, very good. Lovely exercise. So yeah, this makes sense to do, and also when I do it, I feel soreness, I feel like it's really effective. So I've continued to do this, and this might be my favorite exercise, bicep exercise should I say, so that's a good thing. All right, let's go. I think we don't need too much more weight. It's a pretty hard position, so maybe that will do, but we'll see. All right, first set coming up. All right, capping the workout off with our rear delt cable fly. So with all our pulling movements already, the rear delt's involved. So you essentially think about the rear delt or the deltoid in general. We have an attachment point being the deltoid tuberosity on the side part of your arm. Anterior delt kind of comes into the collarbone, goes to there. Lateral delt comes into the acromion or side of the shoulder, goes to there. And then the rear delt actually goes into your scapula. So essentially what it's doing is going to pull your arm from that position to your scapula. So if we think about training the rear delt, we kind of want to pull the arm towards the scapula. Different angles can work really well from this. Anything from like horizontal and above horizontal in these kind of positions. And like I said, all our pulling movements already did that. So we're gonna go single arm with this today. Single arm is really good because we can get a nice big stretch and you can kind of customize the movement. The downside is obviously you gotta do both sides. So essentially what we'll do, we've got this set that's just a bit above head height. I'll turn away from it and I'll essentially pull my arm in the direction directly against the cable to focus on using that rear delt. Stretch across the body, stretch the rear delt out, and then drive away. So if you think about we are not bending and straightening the elbow, that's a common thing you'll see here, is like a tricep extension. It's not gonna kill you, but we just more wanna take your whole arm and pull it that way versus that. So if we clip into this side, turn away from it, get that big stretch, and then drive directly against where the resistance is pulling you. So one of my hot tips for this one is using these cuffs, and this is for a lot of my deltoid work at the moment, even lateral raises, all that kind of stuff. These cuffs I find just make the exercise feel really effective, which it just feels good. It's not like a deal breaker. This could be, in times gone by, I've just held onto this like such, hold onto the top of that, and that does fine. But yeah, really value that, feel it really effectively, and that's what we're after. So yeah, 2 arms means I've got to do double the sets, but I'm going to basically go from one to the other, one to the other, one to the other to get through them. All right, let's go. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. That's going to be business as usual. That all felt good. The only thing I really feel like I have to work out on that one is that landmine row, just getting the right positioning and kind of, yeah, figuring out where I'm balanced, but also getting my arm in the position I want and training what I want from that. But other than that, it was really nice. Everything is going to be business as usual. Like I said with this one, something that I have done is reduced my exercise selection, so not doing as many exercises and just upping the volume on those exercises. This saves a little bit of time, and yeah, it should be no different. Again, let's say, you know, some of the exercises are missing some of the muscles that I'm trying to train, or parts of the muscle. It just would mean over the course of the whole program, or like next time I adjust exercises, I might do those ones. So an example of that would be if I am trying to work my upper back and I've got that T-bar row and then I've got that lean forward pin loaded variation. If I'm not doing anything that goes up like this, like a low row variation or anything like that, maybe in the next program I add that in. But I honestly don't think that's going to be a major concern. All right, time to get out of here. As always, do the subscribe, do the like, hit the buttons, do the stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Next up, we have our next push workout of the week. So we go, what have we done so far? Push, lower body pull, and then we go push, lower body pull with some different exercise selections. As always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.